Light of the World, Learning English Through the Bible, Unit A209. Copyright 2022, Literacy International.
Pray, review, and preview. Bible reading. God saves Joseph and his family. Genesis chapters 37 through 50. Theme. Family. Pronunciation. E spelled E-E and I spelled Y. Grammar. Object, pronouns, and possessives with apostrophe S.
Who do you see in Lee's family?
1. Lee's family tree. 2. Grandparents. 3. Uncle. 4. Aunts. 5. Uncle. 6. Parents. 7. Cousins. 8. Lee. 9. Siblings.
Listen and repeat. 1. A parent. A parent. Fathers and mothers are parents. Fathers and mothers are parents. 2. A grandparent. A grandparent. Grandfathers and grandmothers are grandparents. Grandfathers and grandmothers are grandparents. 3. A sibling. A sibling. Brothers and sisters are siblings. Brothers and sisters are siblings. 4. An uncle. An uncle. My parents' brothers are my uncles. My parents' brothers are my uncles.
Listen and repeat. 5. An aunt. An aunt. My parents' sisters are my aunts. My parents' sisters are my aunts. 6. A cousin. A cousin. My cousins are my uncle and aunt's kids. My cousins are my uncle and aunt's kids. 7. A home. A home. I live at home with my family. I live at home with my family. 8. A wedding. A wedding. My cousin's wedding was beautiful. My cousin's wedding was beautiful.
Listen and repeat. 9. A guest. A guest. Our guests will visit for 3 days. Our guests will visit for 3 days. 10. A mirror. A mirror. He looks at himself in the mirror. He looks at himself in the mirror. 11. To get along. To get along. I get along well with all my cousins. I get along well with all my cousins. 12. To fight. To fight. I sometimes fight with my brother. I sometimes fight with my brother.
We can use apostrophe S to show possession. Of phrase, apostrophe S. 1. The siblings of Joseph. Joseph's siblings. 2. The uncle of Mary. Mary's uncle. 3. The followers of Jesus. Jesus' followers. 4. The parents of my parents. My parents' parents. 5. The guest of my grandparents. 6. The home of our aunt. 7. The mirror of Dan.
Subject pronoun, object pronoun, sentence. 1. I, me. I am a teacher and God loves me. 2. You, you. You are a student and God loves you. 3. He, him. He is my uncle and God loves. 4. She, her. Is my aunt and God loves. 5. It is the world and God loves. 6. We, us, are siblings and God loves. 7. They, them, are parents and God loves. Listen and repeat. What are you going to do this weekend?
I'm going to visit my grandparents' home. It's my grandmother's birthday.
Are you going to see your cousins?
Yes, and my uncles, aunts, and siblings will be there too.
That's great. The last time I saw my family was 3 years ago at a wedding. I miss them. Listen and repeat. I'm so sorry. I broke your mirror.
Oh no, what happened?
I threw a ball at my cousin and it hit the mirror.
Why did you throw a ball inside the house?
We were fighting. Please forgive me.
I forgive you, but don't fight anymore. You need to get along with your cousin and love him.
Okay, I can try to get along with him.
Listen and repeat. 1. E. E. Spelled E-E. Tree. Breeze. Speech. 3. Agree. 2. I. Spelled Y. My. Sky. Fly. Dry. Why? A. 3 birds fly in the blue sky. B. I feel the breeze on my face.
Listen and repeat. A. Family, grandparents, wedding day, Abraham. B. Parents, cousin, uncle, wedding. C. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Get along with. Check the mirror.
God saves Joseph and his family. Genesis chapters 37 through 50. Many years later, when Jacob was an old man, he sent his favorite son Joseph to check on his brothers who were taking care of the sheep. Joseph's brothers hated him because their father loved him most, and because Joseph had dreamed that he would be their ruler.
When Joseph came to his brothers, they attacked him and tore off his beautiful robe. They threw him into an empty well that was dry. Then they sold him to some slave traders. Before Joseph's brothers returned home, they tore Joseph's robe and dipped it in goat's blood. Then they showed the robe to their father Jacob, so he would think that a wild animal had killed Joseph. Jacob was very sad.
The slave traders took Joseph away to Egypt. Egypt was a large, powerful country on the Nile River. They sold Joseph as a slave to a wealthy government official. Joseph served his master well, and God blessed Joseph. His master's wife tried to sleep with Joseph, but Joseph refused to sin against God in this way. She became angry and falsely accused Joseph, so he was arrested and sent to prison. But even in prison, Joseph stayed faithful to God, and God blessed him.
After 2 years, Joseph was still in prison, even though he was innocent. One night Pharaoh, the Egyptian king, had 2 dreams that upset him greatly. None of his advisors could tell him the meaning of the dreams. But God gave Joseph the ability to interpret dreams, so Pharaoh had Joseph brought to him from the prison. Joseph interpreted the dreams for him and said, God is going to send 7 years of good harvests, followed by 7 years of famine.
Pharaoh was so impressed with Joseph that he made him the second most powerful man in all of Egypt. Joseph told the people to store up large amounts of food during the 7 years of good harvest. When the 7 years of famine came, Joseph sold the food to the people so they would have enough to eat.
The famine was terrible, not only in Egypt, but also in Canaan, where Jacob and his family lived. So Jacob sent his older sons to Egypt to buy food. The brothers did not recognize Joseph when they stood before him to buy food. But Joseph recognized them and tested his brothers to see if they had changed. Then Joseph said to them, I am your brother, Joseph. Do not be afraid. You tried to do evil when you sold me as a slave, but God used the evil for good. Come and live in Egypt, so I can provide for you and your families."
So Joseph's brothers returned home to get their families. When they told their father Jacob that Joseph was still alive, he was very happy. Even though Jacob was an old man, he moved to Egypt with all his family, and they all lived there. Before Jacob died, he blessed each of his sons.
The covenant promises that God gave to Abraham were passed on to Isaac, then to Jacob, and then to Jacob's 12 sons and their families. The descendants of Jacob's 12 sons became the 12 tribes of Israel.
Answer the questions. 1. Why did Joseph's brothers hate him? 2. Why did the Egyptians put Joseph in prison? 3. What did God do for Joseph while he was in prison? 4. How did Joseph get out of prison? 5. Why did Joseph's brothers come to Egypt? 6. How did Joseph treat his brothers when they came to him in Egypt? 7. How can Joseph's story give you hope for the difficult times in your life?
Listen and answer the questions. Hello, James. This is Kate. I need a ride to the airport next week on Monday. I'm going to fly to India for my cousin's wedding. The plane leaves at 3 p.m. and arrives in Bombay 12 hours later. It's a long flight, but I love to fly. I like to look out the window and see the sky. I feel so happy that I'll see my parents, grandparents, and siblings. There will be more than 200 guests at the wedding. I can't wait to meet my cousin's new husband. I'm going to make a speech at the reception. I hope I don't cry. Even though I am happy, I always cry at weddings. I don't know why. So please pick me up at my home by 1:30 p.m. on Monday, July 1st, so we can get to the airport on time. Thank you for your help. I really appreciate it. Questions. 1. What time does the plane leave? 2. Why is Kate going to India? 3. How many guests will be there? 4. Why does Kate like to look out the window? 5. How does Kate feel to see her family? 6. What does Kate always do at weddings? 7. What date and time does James need to pick up Kate?
Partner A, ask about Joseph's family. Questions. Answers. For example, 1. Who were Jacob's 4 wives? Leah, Zilpah, Rachel, and Bilhah were Jacob's wives. 2. Who was Joseph's uncle? 3. Who were Rachel's sons? 4. Who were Joseph's grandparents? 5. Who were Jacob's grandparents? 6. Who were Joseph's parents? 7. How many siblings did Joseph have?
Partner B. Joseph's family tree.
He has the whole world in his hands.
He has the whole world in his hands. He has the whole world in his hands. He has the whole world in his hands. He has the whole world in his hands. He has the little tiny baby in his hands. He has the little tiny baby in his hands. He has the little tiny baby in his hands. He has the whole world in his hands. He has you and me, brother, in his hands. He has you and me, brother, in his hands. He has you and me, brother, in his hands. He has the whole world in his hands. He has you and me, sister, in his hands. He has you and me, sister, in his hands. He has you and me, sister, in his hands. He has the whole world in his hands.
1A, homework. Write about the pictures. For example, 1. My 2 cousins are older than me, and they live in London, England.
1B, write about the pictures.
2A, fill in the correct pronouns. We, her, he, him, she, them, I, they, it, me, us. A. Are my cousins and I love. B. Is my aunt and I love. C. Is my uncle and I love. D. Is my pet and I love. E. Am a person and God loves. F. Are all siblings and God loves.
2A, use the family names on slide 25 to make possessive sentences with apostrophe S. For example, A. Jacob's grandparents were Abraham and Sarah. B. Sibling was Jacob. C. Husband was Isaac. D. Parents were Abraham and Sarah. E. Sibling was Esau. F. Wife was Rebecca. G. Husband was Abraham.
3. Write questions and ask your partner. Questions, answers. For example, 1. Are you an only child? No, I have a sister. 2. Do you get along with? 3. Do you ever fight with? 4. How many? 5. Do you live near your? 6. How often do you visit?
4. Answer and say the sentences. Mark the E and I sounds. For example, A. When do you feed your baby? I feed her every 3 hours. B. Do you always agree with me? C. Why do you cry sometimes? D. Are there trees by your home? E. What color is the sky now? F. How is the weather in July?
5. Bible reading review. 1. What did Joseph's brothers do to him? 2. Why did they put blood on his robe? 3. Why did Jacob send his sons to Egypt? 4. How did Joseph treat his brothers in Egypt? 5. What happened to the descendants of the 12 brothers?
6A. Choose one verse to memorize. A. It is true that you planned to do something bad to me, but really, God was planning good things. God's plan was to use me to save the lives of many people, and that is what happened. Genesis chapter 50, verse 20 from the ERV. B. The Lord helped Joseph become a successful man. Genesis chapter 39, verse 2 from the ERV.
6b. Choose one verse to memorize and read the next verses. C. We know that in everything God works for the good of those who love Him. These are the people God chose, because that was His plan. Romans chapter 8, verse 28 from the ERV. Read the next lesson's Bible verses, Exodus chapters 1 through 4, in your language.
7A. Read and answer the questions. Sibling relationships. Our relationships with our brothers and sisters are important in our lives. For many of us, siblings are our first friends. When we get along, it brings lots of joy and love into our lives. But when we fight, we feel sad or angry. In the Bible, we see many examples of siblings who fought, like Esau and Jacob, or Joseph and his brothers. But the Bible also teaches us how to treat each other with love and respect. The Bible teaches that our brothers and sisters are not just the siblings born into our family, but also the other believers in our lives. Jesus called God our Father because if we believe in Jesus, we are siblings of Jesus and children of God. 1 John chapter 4, verses 20 through 21 says, "If we say we love God, but hate any of our brothers or sisters in his family, we are liars. If we don't love someone we have seen, how can we love God? We have never even seen him. God gave us this command: if we love God, we must also love each other as brothers and sisters. It is often difficult to get along with other people, but with God's help, we can have peace, love, and joy in our relationships."
7b. Answer the questions about sibling relationships. A. Why are sibling relationships important? B. Who are some siblings who fought in the Bible? C. What happens when we fight? D. If we love God, who else must we love? E. Why is it difficult to get along with other people? F. Which people are difficult for you to get along with? G. How can you have more peace and love in your relationships?
8. Writing. Write a paragraph about your family and how you get along.
9. Now I can talk about my family and relationships. I can understand, say, read, and write the 12 vocabulary words. I can use apostrophe s to show possession. I know when to use subject and object pronouns. I understand God's promise to Abraham passed down to his descendants.
Closing prayer.